Sergio Perez hasn't had his fair share of luck in recent races. He missed the podium 4 times in the last 5 races, while his teammate Max has been able to win all of them. That is surely something that hasn't helped his confidence, and if you judge the comments of Helmut Marko, you'll notice that the situation between him and Perez isn't something that is blooming as we speak. On top of that, Marko said that if Alpha Tauri was able to sign Herta, then he would be a legitimate candidate to replace Perez after 2024, which is something that should make Perez think about his future. He hasn't been his true self since the Monaco GP, when he was able to win it, and although he was a championship contender at once, his form has dropped off severely. That is why Red Bull has dropped a bombshell on Perez regarding his future and his performance, and if you want to find out more about this, stick around with us until the end of this video. Sergio Perez has been in his career form so far, and although he has had his fair share of struggles with the RB18, he is still in the fight for P2 in the Drivers' Championship, something that he wasn't able to achieve even when Racing Point finished P4 in the Constructors' Championship in 2020. Nevertheless, prior to Baku, Perez was in the fight for the championship too, as he was just 15 points behind Verstappen at the time. Still, with how he is performing now, we cannot help but feel sorry for Perez, because it would have been amazing if we could have witnessed another 2016 championship fight between 2 teammates. Now he is currently 125 points behind Verstappen, and it's very hard for him to follow even for the P2 spot in the Drivers' Championship. The Mexican has struggled a lot with the updates that were introduced to the RB18 recently, and according to him, the car has been built more around Verstappen than him. In recent reports, he urged the team to build a car more around him in order to boost the performance of the team, as he added, "Certainly the car has become quicker from the beginning of the season, but certainly I'm not as comfortable as I was in the beginning of the season. Sometimes things become more natural for you to get the most out of your car. Sometimes you have to work really hard and go very deep in the analysis to make sure that you're able to extract the maximum. So it seems that we are in that window at the moment. I really hope that from this weekend we run the car slightly differently, so we're able to spot some differences that can bring some performance on our side," said Checo. According to the team principal Christian Horner, the difference between Perez and Max isn't about how they run the cars, but about the fact that Max is in a league of his own and is a generational talent. And to be fair, that is our opinion too, and we've seen that Verstappen is literally flying over any track that the F1 caravan is visiting. However, it's become evident that Perez lost his step with Red Bull pace, and one cannot help but notice that the Mexican is slowly turning into the next Bottas in Red Bull. When he had the chance to challenge Max, we've seen that Jos Verstappen, Max's father, was really loud when certain decisions were favoring Perez more rather than Verstappen, such as the one in Monaco. Then Horner said that both of the drivers are given an equal chance to fight for the championship, but as we can witness now, Max has utilized that chance much more compared to the Mexican, and is on a path to destroy the record of most won races in a season that's held by Vettel and Schumacher, 13 each. According to Martin Brundle, Perez is truly struggling with the way the RB18 is performing and just cannot get to grips with the car. As he added, "You could see the DRS oscillating on a Red Bull. It can't be helped with the downforce, but you don't need a whole lot of downforce there. What you don't need either is a whole load of drag, so if it's creating drag, then it's slowing it down. Sergio has definitely lost his way a little bit with the Red Bull car at the moment," finished Brundle. Brundle continued to talk with Perez and said that if he is to stay with the team beyond 2024, he needs to find a solution to his performance sooner rather than later. However, he also believes that this is kind of becoming a mission impossible for Perez, and if he knew a way, he would have been much more competitive in the same car with Verstappen. I'm sure if he knew, they'd sort it out very quickly, but it just doesn't seem to play to his strengths behind the wheel, and then you lose a bit of confidence and trust on the braking point. And with these latest Formula 1 cars and the speed you take through these corners, if it starts sliding around too much, particularly on the rear end, and you don't hustle it, then you lose a bit of tire temperature and a bit of brake temperature. Then you get to a point where the car slides and you tighten up because, oh no, the car is sliding, rather than being just whatever, I can handle whatever you throw at me. It's a snowball effect of tiny little things, and that's why it's hard to identify what has gone wrong and how to put it right, finished Brundle. And if you think about it, Perez is indeed much slower than Verstappen after Baku. The Mexican is constantly around 6 or 7 tenths of a second slower than Verstappen in the qualifying session, and it doesn't help that he cannot fight with the other contenders either. That and the fact that Perez has been battling cars that he shouldn't battle at all, such as Mercedes in this season, proves that he has lost the way to the championship and should be happy even with a P2 in the Drivers' Championship. According to Marko, the team is very much interested in the American asset Colton Herta. He will bring lots of fans to the team from the US, which would mean lots of revenue for Alpha Tauri and Red Bull. But he did say that the stable of Alpha Tauri, previously known as Toro Rosso, has produced a decent amount of drivers for Red Bull, and that is something that they hope can be achieved with Herta. That means that Perez's seat in Red Bull is far away from being secured from 2024 and beyond. Although he did sign a contract after his third career win, second with Red Bull in Monaco, he hasn't been able to deliver the results that the team is expecting from him. Perez also talked about the car's performance in the second half of the first season and about his performance as the Mexican added, "It's something that I need to work on my side to make sure we're able to get the maximum out of the car. Sometimes things become more natural for you to get the most out of your car, and sometimes you have to work really hard and go very deep in the analysis to make sure you're able to extract the maximum. It seems that we are in that window at the moment. There are still 8 races to go, so anything can really happen. We will try to maximize. The Constructors' Championship is very important for us as well. Right now we're in a great position, but things can change fairly quickly. So as a team, we want to maximize everything we possibly can every weekend," finished Checo. It's very important that Perez can find his groove in the last 6 races, because if he doesn't, then he is under huge pressure to lose the 3rd spot in the Drivers' Championship from Russell and Sainz, who are now his main rivals in the fight apart from Leclerc. On top of that, he is constantly under critique from Helmut Marko about not being able to deliver a top-notch performance just like Verstappen, and the last attack was made after the qualifying session in Spa. According to Marko, Perez lost a secured pole position to Sainz because he lost a lot of time in the second sector, and even though Sainz had a toe in the first sector, Perez was still faster there. However, one couldn't help but wonder that when Perez said that he'll be in the fight for the championship, his car became inferior all of a sudden. True, Verstappen is a generational talent, and one couldn't help but wonder how he does it all on the track. But Perez was also phenomenal and was able to complete multiple 1-2 finishes for Red Bull this season, and when you see how his performance has dropped, you have to ask whether Red Bull wants to have a competitive driver next to Verstappen. What do you think about this matter? Let us know in the comments below.